The Dental Download podcast is your source for insight from conversations with fellow dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Dr. Haley. Let's get into this week's episode. Hello, everyone. The long-awaited, 1 week awaited part 2 of our episode with Dr. Justin Griffin, the Smile Doc over on TikTok, is here. Let's jump right back into it. I'll give you a little recap of where we ended last week's episode, and then we'll roll into the rest of our very insightful conversation.
But he's like, you will look back and you'll kind of laugh at worrying about those things. If you do right by patients, realize that human beings are attached to teeth, and you treat people really well, you don't have anything to worry about.
And I'm curious whether you want to go into specific figures or just mentally throughout this journey. Did you ever have a click in your head, like you mentioned enough earlier? Like, what is enough for me? When am I actually on track? When can I breathe and know, like, okay, everything's going to work out? When did that moment happen over these years?
I don't like it when people talk about, I want to gross a certain amount. I think that's a bad metric. Dentists have this funny thing, like if they can have $1 million practice, somehow that is good. And I'm telling you, it ain't that good. Not necessarily. Okay, this is what I look at. These are the things. Overhead is what is king. And the sad part about overhead, which I need to do a video on this, is if you ask 5 dentists, list all the categories that you consider overhead, you're going to get 5 different lists. It is. But there are some that are just like staples. Everything will, like, for example, rent. Okay. Overhead would be my panoramic x-ray, my dental equipment. Overhead is my staff, right? Overhead are my lab. There's like 5 or 6 things that are like, these are the things that you can, everything else is fluff. If I'm writing off a vehicle through my business, that is not overhead. It's a business expense, but it's not overhead. And if I decide to buy, I don't know, a Taj Mahal instead of having just 4 dental chairs, that is not overhead. That is you wanting to spend your extra money on a big building. Okay, so here's the math that I use. If you had to choose, this is gold. If you had to choose between $1 million practice with 70% overhead, I'm going to let you do some math in your head right there, and a $600,000 practice with 50% overhead, do the math. Which practice is better?
I mean, on paper, then you're coming out similar, but you'd probably want to do less work for more money.
Almost half the work for the same amount of money.
Yep.
Less risk, less stress, less time at the office. I mean, I would take this practice. It's not even a question. But when people say, oh, I'm getting ready to buy this practice. Oh, really? What does it gross? I'm like, who cares? What does it net is what matters. And what is the overhead is even the more important number. So the real numbers are, if you Google it, ask your dental rep, if they know, they probably won't know. Dentists don't like to share some of this stuff. The average overhead for general practice office is in the low 70s. That's where it is. And the largest chunk is staff. So my overhead numbers are right at 50.5%. Okay. Now, what I calculate as overhead may not be what you calculate, but I'm telling you the things that are overhead are things that make the burr spin. I need a burr. Okay. I need an assistant. I need a dental chair. I need marketing. You got to market some, right? There's got to be something on marketing. You need office supplies. So these categories are very, very important. Everything else is not. It's just not important. So I keep my overhead super, super low. That way, if there's a bad month, it's not as painful to me. If my overhead is really high and we have a bad month, it's very painful for me. I'm the only one that benefits from less overhead because my assistants get paid no matter what. When I graduated, go back in 2001 numbers, 2001. I love to do this comparison. Many young dentists will say with enthusiasm, it is so much harder today than it was when you did it back in 2001. And let's just compare a couple of numbers. I don't dispute that it might be harder. I don't dispute that. But is it that much harder? Let's just look at some numbers. My debt, and whoever's listening will have to write this stuff down. These are relative numbers. My debt was $150,000. Today's average debt, if you Google it, $320,000-ish. There's some that are higher. There's no doubt. There's also some that are lower. I'm not talking about daddy paying for dental school. I'm talking about loan numbers. Okay? So it's about 3 times the amount, basically. The cost of a crown. The average cost of a crown when I did it was $600. The average cost of a crown now is around $1,500, $1,200. I mean, you can still find them for $900, but Delta Dental was paying me like $1,200 when I took them. Okay, that's insurance. So, and I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm not in New York City. New York City, it's even more. So that's what's you got to put these numbers together. What else? Average income. Oh, the average dentist associate income. When I talk to dentists, I'm like, could you mind just telling me, like, I don't say, what do you make? What's the average person getting offered? And they said, it's usually around 150 is what it kind of comes out to. I'm like, what? The first 6 months, I was 30% of what I did. If you extrapolate it over the year, I made about $50,000. And then when I talked them into guaranteeing me something, because it sucked every month, not knowing I don't do the marketing. I get whatever they give me. They gave me, this is a fact. Get my wife on here to testify. Kids and emergencies. And I finally told them that's not enough. And I don't blame them. It's a whole nother podcast on why a dentist might do that to an associate. But I wasn't as experienced as them. It was very hard when you're in it and you get mad and you're like, I want some veneer cases, but you're just not that, you're not as good at it. And so I understand why they did it, but it sucks. I finally talked them into guaranteeing me some money, and they guaranteed me 60. That was my guaranteed salary, which is about a third of what young dentists are getting now. So I know that there are other factors, but those are the 3 big ones when I compare my stress to someone else's stress. When I went on my own, my service debt on my student loan was $1,500. My lease payment in this strip mall, it was a very small place, was $3,000. And the debt on my practice was $5,000. That's almost $10,000 a month that I had to generate on my own without being able to pay my team, feed my kids, or anything else. That was super, super scary for me. Now, it may be more now, but your potential to make more is also greater. That's all I'm going to say. I'll get a lot of hate for that. I'm not disputing that it's difficult. The problem is you've got to know it's going to be difficult, and what are you going to do about it? I get a lot of hate when I mention you should young dental students will ask me often, what's the best advice you can give me? I'm about to graduate. And I say, how are your interpersonal skills, sales, and marketing? And then I'll get a lot of hate. You shouldn't have to sell in healthcare. Like, I'm not talking about being a car salesman car salesmen. There are some good ones out there. I'm not saying you should be upselling and trying to talk people into stuff that they don't need or want. That is not what I'm saying. But there is a difference. If someone has it, people drive from out of town to see me. They pass 20 dentists on the way. Why would they do that? That's what you need to ask yourself. Why would they come to you? Because you have a license? Sorry, that's not good enough.
And throughout this process, you mentioned really good comparisons of it kind of is similar what people are struggling with what you struggled with now. It's just growing amounts, but kind of similar ratios with those comparisons you were giving. Is over these 20 plus years, was it like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years where you really felt like I got everything pretty steady, life is going good, I'm going to kind of ride it out from here?
There are books about scarcity versus abundance mentalities, and you should read them. Everyone should read them. You can't unwire things that are just in your DNA. I'm a hustler. In dental school, I had jobs. Like, this is what I did. It's a mentality that I have. In dental school, I thought I need some loops. I had those cheap plastic, ugly magnifiers that looked like Dr. Doolittle when I was working in the lab. And I thought, I want to get some oroscoptics. And I went to the oroscoptic rep on my own. And I said, listen, how many sets of these do I need to sell to dental students for me to get a free pair? And they're like, 10. You sell 10, I'll give you a free pair. So I'm like, hey, everybody, bringing lunch in. We got the orthoscopic rep coming, and I got a free pair of loops. It's just the way that I've always worked. I had a job in dental school. Nobody else did. I'm just poor. In my mind, I'm just poor. And some people don't feel that way. They're like, I'm going to, it'll just happen somehow for me. And they're not gritty. I don't know. I can't. If you're that way, I don't know that things will ever change for you. I can tell you that even today, this is what my team does. People want to know, how do you get one assistant so efficient working 2 ops? It's not like I hire them and I go, good luck. They understand what they're up against. They see the schedule. We have a 1 hour, we have a morning huddle meeting, 15 minutes. I don't say anything. Everybody's bringing information to this meeting. I've got these patients today. In 2 weeks out, we've got a lab case we're still waiting on for so-and-so. Everyone's doing this 2-week check, and they bring information about today. It's so-and-so's birthday. Don't forget, she needs to see you wash your hands. Whatever it is that they have issues with. All that stuff is brought to the morning meeting, including things like who has a Gmail, so we know who's the easiest candidates for a Google review. So everybody does their report, 15 minutes. It's 10 minutes or 15 minutes. We're ready to go at 8 o'clock. Every Thursday, we have a 1 hour meeting, and we have a list of things in the back. We train. We're still training. I've been doing it for 25 years. We are still training. It never ends. It's like in that movie, The Social Network, where he's talking about fashion, and, fashion never ends. Like Facebook, like the things they do at Facebook. It doesn't end. It's not like we're done. We're innovating. We're getting better, more efficient, using new stuff. We're training. We don't take any impressions. 0. You want bleach trays? We are scanning. We are printing. We print your night guards. We print your 3D, your aligners. We do all of that stuff here. We don't use Invisalign anymore. I've got a way that is faster and cheaper. And that is a plus for me and for my patients. So it's training. It's like, and we have issues. We have problems, like real problems. I have to give away gift cards sometimes. I'm like, I'm really sorry that we let you down. It happens. So it's not perfect, but it is ongoing. Once a month, we have a 4-hour meeting. We call it a 4x4. Some of these principles, I just want to give credit to Bill Blatchford, who I worked with a long time ago. I have not been a client of his for maybe 10 years, but some of the principles have stuck, and this 4x4 is one of them. And every month we have a 4-hour meeting. So office is closed. We go upstairs and we sit and we talk about stuff. And it could be like role playing. I mean, we still do that. Of course, it's like the concept is like Tiger Woods, arguably the greatest golfer of all times, had a coach. What is a coach going to teach Tiger Woods? Okay, we all need training and we all can do better. It's having that humble disposition, teachable disposition, even me. And I go into these meetings like, what can I do? How am I impeding this progress? And they're like, well, honestly, you ask us to do too many TikTok videos when we're in the weeds. That's a fact. We just had this yesterday. And I'm like, okay, well, they're meant to be fun. They're not meant to be a burden. So tell me where the pain points are, and I won't ask you to do a video at that time. They're like, don't ask us at 5 o'clock because they go to pick up their kids. Okay, I won't do that. So there's everything from how we answer the phones to system issues, equipment issues, role-playing issues, all of those things we talk about, and training. Like everyone is cross-trained. The front desk person does limited exams and PAs. She also does scans. Is she the fastest at scans? No. I'm probably the fastest. I'm just saying. Maybe my assistant, look, I'll just say this. My assistant is excellent. And I mean, whip, whip, whip. No Optragate, if you know what that is. No retractors. She does it. If I put the Optragate in to do an upper lower scan, it literally is less than 2 minutes. I mean, you can't do alginate impressions that fast. And so it's so fast. My hygienists, they're not as fast as me and my assistant, but they're really good. Front desk person, something that she doesn't do that often. So during our 4x4, there's a list of things like, what do we need to work on to be faster? Oh, you need to do scans? I want you to scan this hygienist 10 times. And so they'll go into an operatory and do that. We need our checklists updated. All right, we're done with this meeting. For the next hour, go in there and update these checklists. So these meetings are extremely powerful. The concept is this: NFL football. The game is 3 hours long. 3 hours. The actual football time, if you look it up, the time from snap to tackle, the actual football that they're doing is about 11 minutes, I think. There's 11 minutes of football. Okay, that's it. And if you're on offense, it's 6 minutes. Okay, it's nothing. How much time outside of that game are they training, looking at tape, working out, talking, strategizing? You've got to take time to do that. So when it's showtime and your 6 minutes are ready, it's time to perform. It's time to smile. It's time to be that person that you've been training for and the team that you've been training with.
And we are talking a lot about training your team, being an owner. Earlier, you were talking about the difference kind of in goals or personality of someone for being an associate versus an owner. And you mentioned a little bit of not really wanting to deal with the stress, but you admitted earlier when you were first an owner, it was really stressful and it's out of your tendencies to maybe be more assertive and you're more of a people pleaser. So how did you work through that?
So you got to start. Some people are natural born leaders, but anyone can be a leader. You just have to, number one, learn about how to do it, and two, have the gumption. You've got to have the, fill in the blank. You do. You've got to have the courage to make tough decisions, and it's uncomfortable. It's still uncomfortable. I have to still talk to employees from time to time about stuff, and I close the door and I'm like, they make fun of me because they all know. I'm like, it's okay. We're okay. But we got to talk about a couple of things that are speed bumps for us as a team. And we need to level those out so that we're smooth sailing. Those conversations are very hard. In fact, when I have them, I don't mind saying little things here and there, but when we have them, there's usually tears. And it sucks. I hate it. I don't mean to, but I'm like, look, I am, let's say her name was Jordan. I'm like, look, I am Team Jordan. The reason we're having this meeting is because I am your biggest fan and I want you to succeed. So let's do this together and tell me what I can do to help you accomplish these things. So I'm a partner. I turn over rooms. I do. I go get patients and bring them back and put the top. I do what I got to do. We wear walkie-talkies and they're like, Dr. Griffin, we're in the weeds. I need you to get that patient back, get them numb. Sure. I can feel it when they're super busy. I know the schedule not as well as they do, but I know it. And I'll go in when I think I need to. I'll flip a hygiene room or a treatment room. It's a power day. We're working it. So I work Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, power days. Thursdays are like a buffer day. They're a little bit softer for us to catch up and stuff. Back to your point of the stress. The stress never ends because you're always at risk, but it does go down when you feel like your team is on board, your team has your back. We still have December was a terrible month. It was the worst month of production in years. And I thought, well, what's going on? And I don't know. I compared it with the last several Decembers and it was still really bad. And so you're like, okay, still stressed, right? But January is just where it should be. February, we've already passed our BAM number.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 20th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know that it ever goes away. That's part of owning the practice, is having the stomach for the ups and the downs. It'll turn on you. Things could be going well, even if you're making a lot of money, and you could have a patient that you did nothing wrong on. You felt like you had a good rapport with them, and suddenly they hate you. And I'm like, if you could just tell me what I did wrong, well, you know what you did. I'm like, I freaking know what I did. And so that stuff just comes with it. It doesn't get better. It's just over time. Now you just kind of get used to the fact that, okay, patients are going to show up. Patients want treatments. It's your job to find out what they want and offer them the treatment that they want. Here's a trick. I used to go into consults. I would have new patients come in. We take the x-rays, we take the pictures, they would go home. I saved this PowerPoint that I made because it's a life lesson for me in business. I would have them come back for a consult where I would show them all the pictures that I had arrows on the bad amalgams and the wear and how they need some veneers and a night guard. And, all of this is going to cost you $15,000. Do you have any questions? And they're like, this literally happened. I just wanted a cleaning. Like, I don't want any of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm never doing that again. I'm never preparing all this stuff. I don't care anymore what patients do. They can say yes, they can say no. It is something you've got to just develop. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. And move on. The less treatment planning you put on them, more that they're going to want to do. You're going to build more trust just listening and asking questions than you ever will talking about all the things that you offer. So there's consults on Thursdays. I do in-person consults and some Zoom consults, but many of them will say veneer consult and they leave getting scanned for clear aligners. Others will come in for Invisalign consult and they'll leave getting scanned for veneers. Why? Because I don't have an agenda. I don't care what they do. I find out what they want, give them the options that are available to them and the prices, and I talk about money quick. I don't wait until the end. Just get it out of the way, okay? People will do business with people that they like. They'll work out the money. And there's plenty of people. I just did a full arch. I did a virtual consult with someone a year ago. Never heard from them. And they came in 1 year later and said, I'm ready. 1 year. Full arch. It's gorgeous. So it's okay. You're just planting good seeds of trust so that they'll do business with you when they're ready to do business. So you find out what they want, offer them things that will help them achieve that objective, and then say, what would you like to do next? I'm not sure I can spend that much money. It's okay. Is it the amount? Is it the monthly payment? Is there anything, you have any questions about that? The consult is just huge. But all of these things and a history of doing them month in and month out will develop a confidence in you and decrease the stress that you have. It's just time of reinforcement. That's what I would say. And it may happen quicker for others. For me, I'm still worried. I'm still worried. I just now have a little more money to spend and I take advantage of my time off. But they still come in. We close more now, and our schedule when we're open, since we're not open every week like a lot of dentists, it's jammed. The days are jammed, which is how it should be. Dentists schedule by appointment. Okay? It's not like a Chinese restaurant where hopefully some people will order some food today. We make appointments. So you can even make your appointments spread out over a week where you're killing time watching ESPN at work, or you can close an extra day and go golfing and slinky all of those other appointments tight into the days that you're open. It's all by design.
Absolutely. And I've loved how specific and tangible you've been with your answers today. It's been very helpful. But before we wrap up, for young dentists listening, you've already given a lot of great advice, but is there anything else you want to share with them? Some words of wisdom or encouragement?
Yeah. You sent me this question ahead of time, and I wanted to give it some thought because I give advice to young grads, but I'm not in the weeds. When a new grad says, well, it's not the same as it was when you did it, how could they know? They didn't do it when I did it. And how could I possibly know what they're going through because I'm not doing it now? So I know that there's never an apples to apples comparison on this, but I can say you may have to take a job with corporate dentistry for a while. That's okay. Finding loans may be hard. I don't know. I haven't had to look for one as a new dentist in 2026. I will say, be patient. I'd say while you're in school, you need to work on your speed for sure. I mean, when I talk about sales and marketing and interpersonal skills, I'm assuming that you're getting the reps in. You're going to get out of dental school and you're still going to take a couple of hours to do a crown prep. My preps literally, sometimes there's difficult buildups to do. Sometimes the bleeding won't stop. It's complicated. But the prep is about 10 minutes, okay? 20 minutes on a bad day. And wherever you're at in that, just think, okay, how can I get faster at this? Because you need to get faster so that your appointments can be consolidated and you can make more money in less time. So do those kind of things. Work on your speed, work on how to build rapport with people. That is huge. Develop leadership skills. That is huge. You're only going to be an associate for a while. At some point, you're going to be owning your practice. Why not learn those things now rather than when you're in the weeds of a new practice that you own? Be humble. I'm just saying, if it's been done before, it can be done. So move forward with that, knowing that you have to maybe ask some people about how to do something. Take good advice from your team members. They are your team members. Remember, they show up at work for you. I know that you're like, they work for me. They do what I say. You make money because of them. And so they need to be rewarded for that. And they need to be uplifted and they need to feel inspired when they go to work. So take all that stuff seriously, that your job isn't just to do dentistry and make money for you. If your team has a high turnover rate, that is not a good sign. That's a bad sign. Like, I wouldn't want to be a patient at an office that had a lot of turnover rate. I would think there's something wrong with the leader. Work on those skills. They're crucial. Ask everyone everything. If you think you know everything, that's also going to be a growth stunter. Ask everyone anything and beat the doors. Send emails, knock on doors, go meet dentists. You see in the future opportunities for an associateship. If not, do you have any dental friends that you think might be looking for one? And then move on. Ask on Instagram. I get questions. People ask me all the time, are you looking for an associate? If I knew someone, I would definitely say, I actually know someone. And there's plenty of people who are. So do your time. Don't expect things fast. It's not going to happen fast. It's not. And all of these, know that there's probably a really good word for it, but these non-dental skills that I'm saying that you need to develop, you need to work on those. And I'm sure you would agree with me. They will go a long way for building your practice and building your brand and setting you up for long-term success.
Wonderfully said. I'm sure people are leaving feeling a little at ease that they're not the only ones that might be struggling, but also empowered that anything is possible. And if they work hard enough, they'll get where they need to be.
True.